Formula One is a sport built on the concept of spectacle. It thrives on the flash of cameras, the roar of the crowd, and the endless cycle of the global media machine. But this week, the sport has chosen to do something it almost never does. It has chosen to go dark. We are standing on the precipice of the most violent regulation change in the history of the internal combustion engine. The 2026 rule set does not just move the goalposts. It burns down the stadium and builds a new one next door. And yet, as 11 teams descend on the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, the gates are locked. There are no fans in the grandstands, there are no international television crews, there is no live timing. The official classification for this event is a collective shakedown. It is a term designed to minimize expectation. In the past, a shakedown was a gentle affair 100 kilometers on hard demonstration tires purely to ensure the oil didn't leak. This is not that. This is 5 full days of unrestricted, aggressive testing. The teams are free to run race distances. They are free to push the power units to their absolute thermal limits. So why the secrecy? The answer is a mixture of contractual politics and genuine, visceral fear. Politically, the sport is bound by a contract with Bahrain to host the first official test. But technically, the teams lobbied for this blackout because they are terrified. They are terrified that the 2026 cars, with their active aerodynamics and complex energy recovery systems, are going to be fragile, temperamental, and potentially embarrassing. No team principal wants a 4K slow-motion replay of their $100 million prototype grinding to a halt on the first lap. They want the dignity of failing in silence. But we are not here to respect their privacy. We are here to analyze the truth. And the truth is, the war for the 2026 World Championship has already begun behind those closed doors. And for one team, the war might already be lost. We must address the ghost at the feast. There is one garage in Barcelona that will remain empty this week. The lights will be off, the tools will be packed away. Williams Racing is not in Spain. Earlier this week, team principal James Vowles, a man who has staked his reputation on modernizing the team, had to deliver the news that the FW48 is not ready. They are staying in the United Kingdom to finish the production of the car. To call this a disaster is an understatement. In a normal season, missing a day of testing is painful. In a year like 2026, where the regulations are a blank sheet of paper, missing 5 full days is a competitive death sentence. While McLaren and Mercedes are out on track calibrating their systems, Williams will be in a factory in Oxfordshire desperately trying to bond carbon fiber chassis components together. This failure highlights the antiquarian nature of Williams' production processes. You cannot build a 2026 car using 1990s methodology. The complexity of these new machines, the packaging of the larger battery, the safety structures required for the high-voltage systems has clearly caught them off guard. When they finally arrive in Bahrain, they will be weeks behind the development curve. For Carlos Sainz, who joined this project believing in the vision of a resurrected giant, this must be a sobering moment. For the teams that have managed to build a car, the focus this week is on a single, terrifying concept: active aerodynamic instability. We all remember the porpoising of 2022. Well, in 2026, the threat is different. The new cars feature movable wings on both the front and rear axles. These are active, aggressive control surfaces. On the straights, they flatten out to reduce drag. In the braking zones, they snap back into a high downforce configuration. It sounds simple in theory. In practice, it is a nightmare. The center of pressure shifts massively during this transition. If the software is milliseconds late, or if one actuator moves slightly faster than the other, the car becomes unstable at 200 miles an hour. Simulator reports suggest that this transition phase feels unnatural to the drivers. The car loses grip at the rear just as the driver needs confidence. If the system glitches, you don't just lose lap time, you lose the car. Barcelona is the perfect laboratory to test this. We are expecting to hear reports of spins. This is why the secrecy is so valuable. But the biggest story of this test, and indeed the biggest story of the entire 2026 cycle, is the power unit. The new regulations have stripped away the MGU-H. In its place, the FIA has tripled the electrical power output to 350 kilowatts and mandated a 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and the battery. This plays directly into the hands of one manufacturer, Mercedes. The rumours emerging from Brixworth are becoming impossible to ignore. The consensus among the paddock insiders is that Mercedes' high-performance powertrains has built a monster. We have discussed the specific technical innovations in the past, the variable compression ratio theories, but now we are seeing the confidence manifest in the political landscape. Look at the customer teams. McLaren has extended their deal, Williams has stayed loyal. And most tellingly, Alpine, a factory team owned by Renault, has shut down its own engine program to buy power units from Toto Wolff. Why would a proud French manufacturer humiliate itself by firing its own engine staff to buy German hardware? Because they saw the data. Flavio Briatore realized that the Mercedes 2026 unit is so far ahead that trying to build their own was a waste of money. When your rivals are surrendering before the first race, you know you have done something right. If the Mercedes W17 is consistently clocking top speeds 5 or 6 km per hour faster than the Ferrari or the Red Bull at the end of the Barcelona straight, the panic in the paddock will be instantaneous. Even without live timing, the GPS data does not lie. Every team has spies. Every team has radar guns. By Wednesday, the paddock will know if the championship is already over. On the other side of the garage, we have the great unknown, Red Bull. For the first time in their history, they are not a customer. They are a manufacturer. The Red Bull Ford Powertrains project is the most ambitious industrial undertaking in the sport's modern history. They have attempted to do in 4 years what it took Mercedes and Ferrari decades to master. The combustion engine is rumoured to be solid. But the electrical side is where the risks lie. The 2026 regulations are an efficiency formula. If your battery overheats, or if your energy harvesting is inefficient, you suffer from clipping. This is where the car runs out of electrical boost halfway down the straight. It feels like hitting a wall of air. If the Red Bull Ford engine suffers from clipping in Barcelona, Max Verstappen is going to be a very frustrated man. He is used to having the best equipment. If he finds himself in a car that requires him to lift and coast while the Mercedes drivers are powering past him, the internal dynamics at Red Bull will shift dramatically. This test is the proof of concept for Christian Horner's independence. If the engine works, he is a visionary. If it fails, he has isolated his team on an island with no life raft. Finally, we must consider the human element, the drivers. The 2026 cars are going to require a new driving style. With the massive torque from the electric motor, traction is going to be limited. The cars have less downforce, they are heavier. This means the drivers who rely on instinctive reflex like Verstappen and Leclerc might have to adapt. The drivers who are more cerebral, who treat driving like a mathematical equation, drivers like George Russell or Oscar Piastri might find an advantage. Managing the manual override mode, the new boost button that allows drivers to dump energy for overtaking, will require split-second decision-making. It is like playing a video game at 200 miles an hour while pulling 5G. Barcelona is where the drivers will realize just how mentally draining these new cars are. So, what should we expect when the garage doors finally open on Monday morning? Expect silence from the official channels. Expect obfuscation from the press officers. But listen to the noise from the rumour mill. Listen for the reports of reliability failures. Listen for the complaints about handling instability. The 2026 season is going to be defined by who learns the fastest. The car you see in the spy shots from Barcelona won't be the car that wins the championship in Abu Dhabi. But the lessons learned this week, the data gathered on cooling, on active aero, on tyre wear, will build the foundation for that championship run. We are witnessing the start of a new world order. The dominance of the last few years is gone. The rulebook has been torn up, and in the vacuum of Barcelona, in the silence of an empty circuit, the next dynasty of Formula One is being built. The only question that remains is, who has built it? Is it the Silver Arrows, returning to their throne? Is it Red Bull, proving that they can stand alone? Or is it Ferrari, quietly confident in a radical new concept? We will be watching, we will be listening, and as soon as the truth leaks out, you will be the first to know. The 2026 era begins now. Let us see who survives the week.